Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I will be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 97. I am a member of the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, more affectionately called the ICD. And I attended the ICD's annual conference this past weekend. It was amazing, and I will share more soon. In an activity with a fellow participant, we worked through a new time management tool that I cannot wait to introduce to all of you, but I digress. The tool walks us through a project, helps us identify potential roadblocks and how to deal with them, and lets us imagine our reasons for and how we will feel when we achieve our goal and or complete the project, right? For the activity to learn to use the tool, we chose a goal or project to focus on, and mine was how to ensure I worked through my conference notes this week. And my answer to my table partner was, because otherwise, why did I bother to go, right? This was not simple. The conference was in Minnesota, a beautiful state from the little bit that I got to explore when not in sessions. It was a 7-hour drive to get to Bloomington, Minnesota, which is right next to Minneapolis, St. Paul. And it was the same 7 hours to get back, though those were in the dark and in the rain. My husband is a rock star. He did the driving, at least on the way home. It required money and planning and research and packing and a million other little tasks. It required that I take time off from making money from paying clients to instead spend money. It required that I attend a conference I've never attended before and that I step into rooms where I knew no one. It required many such leaps of faith to just jump into a situation and do my best. And it was absolutely worth it. I visited new places and saw new things. I learned so much. Things that will help me in my business, in my work with my clients, and also me personally. I hugged in-person people whom I've only met in virtual programs up until now. I met amazing people and I made new friends. Similarly, I presented at a conference the week before, and I would hope for all of those attendees that they took some time to review and internalize and revel and relish what they learned at their conference where I presented, and then started to put that new knowledge into practice too. As part of my working through the content this week from the conference, I want to write about it, and so I did. And then I will do it because it is time to process what I learned, follow up with many people, and incorporate what I learned into my real life. Because again, otherwise, why did I bother to go? If you too have the opportunity to learn new things, here are some even more things to think about. Be open to learning because there are always things to learn. First, can we just appreciate how awesome it is to have the opportunity to learn new things? There's always more to learn, either expanding on things we already know or learning new topics and ideas entirely. Next up, when we get back from learning, unpack. And I mean physically unpack. I will be mentally unpacking notes and things for the next week or so, but I mean physically unpack. I have worked with dozens of clients who have bags still packed with logos on them, right, from conferences or workshops that they attended 1 or 5 or even 20 years ago. In addition to the knowledge learned going no further than that bag on a shelf or under the desk, logistically speaking, unpack that bag because what about that half-eaten granola bar or dirty tissues? Ew. So please unpack your bag and delete or recycle the easy and the obvious. When it comes to storage, bags are almost never our friends. Liberate the stuff and the learning and bring it back into the daylight. As an aside, when you attend a conference with other professional organizers, some of us will admit to emptying the swag bag immediately, getting rid of what we don't want and maybe sharing it at the table the next day with fellow participants, and clearing out the excess before we even pack to go home. Also, as an aside, at a conference for professional organizers, programs start on time and even early sometimes. Next, and very importantly, act on the new knowledge while it's fresh. One of my accountability partners asked a great question the last time we spoke. She asked if I had a plan, or what was my plan, to work through all of my notes and follow up from conference. She knows me so well. I want to review my notes this week, because I can easily recall exactly what I was feeling and thinking when I heard the content. I can remember what time of day it was. I can remember who was sitting at my table with me. Reviewing the content just a few days out means that as I reflect on the content, I can fill in my notes with even more ideas. I can recall thoughts I had then that I might not have had time to capture at that moment. And I can start to move the knowledge from short-term memory into long-term memory. Most importantly, I can make plans for changing my behaviors around what I have learned. If I waited weeks or months or years, that reflection piece would take me nowhere fast. And I'd miss the opportunity to make that knowledge my own and incorporate it into my own best practices. Relatedly, as I review my notes, if I want to reach out to somebody I spoke with, they will also be more likely to remember me now than they would be in a few weeks or months from now. In addition to knowledge becoming unrefreshable to us, remember too that knowledge expires. If you have a backlog of content or binders or books from long ago professional development, please consider knowledge expires. Here's an example. Years ago, a friend said how proud they were of the medical journals on the shelf above their desk. They liked to see the journals. The journals felt like visual proof of how good a doctor this friend is. And this friend is a good doctor. However, I reminded them that I would not want to see a 20-year-old medical journal above my doctor's desk. I would rather see recent certificates and updates and achievements because in some industries, like the medical profession, knowledge expires. I would not want to see reference books for outdated software on my IT department's shelf. I do not want to see educational theory books from the 1950s on a teacher's shelf. Knowledge expires, so act on it when it comes. Next up, look ahead. Look ahead and make a plan for yourself to learn new things. As I reflected on presenting at a conference and then, a week later, attending a conference, I'm reminded that, as I stated earlier, there's always more to learn. My suggestion to you and to myself is to come up with our own educational plans. Once we're out of the academic environment, it would be easy to stop learning. But in the first line of my content for my recent presentation, I stated that if we aren't growing, we're either standing still or we are wilting and withering. Those are our options. We can choose to grow, we can stand still, or we can wilt and wither. Of course, there are some days that I'm not striving and growing and reading and pursuing, but those days of rest are part of the plan too. An educational plan guides our steps. I don't know what that educational plan looks like for you. I don't know what lights you up or what you're interested in, but maybe you know. There is so much information available to us these days. There has never in the history of the world been so much information so readily at our fingertips. Never before. Of course, we need to make sure we're critical thinkers and are consuming actual knowledge from trusted sources. But there's so much out there to learn and know about, and it's all available to us. For me personally this week, I'm going to work through my notes from my conference. I'm also going to review my nonfiction reading pile. I'll put that in quotes, because while I call it my reading pile, it's not actually a pile. It is part of a shelf full of books that I own but have not yet read, and also a backlog on my Kindle app on my iPad. There were books and authors mentioned at this conference that I attended, and I know I already own some of those books, but I've not read them yet. Establishing a more consistent nonfiction reading habit sounds like a positive step in Colleen's education plan. At writing time, I have completed some easy first steps. I did those yesterday afternoon. I unpacked my conference bag, recycled any papers I won't need again, and put things away in my office that have a home. I entered into my phone contacts of all the business card information from fellow attendees who shared them with me. I submitted for and received certificates for all the continuing education units that I earned by participating this weekend. I also processed my bullet journal notes from the last 4 days. I still need to prioritize the notes and action steps, but they're in Evernote now, so when I have a few moments, I can start assigning the ideas and tasks to the appropriate lists. Ideas like blog topics, client follow-up, or maybe I just need to schedule time to complete tasks like the errands that I'll run tomorrow. On my agenda for this afternoon and tomorrow morning are to review the handouts from each of the presentations. I'll reach out via email and thank the speakers for their presentations. I'll subscribe to newsletters and follow on Instagram or Facebook. I'll read the articles that were recommended for further reading. I'll email follow-up to my fellow participants. For example, a fellow participant asked a question during one session regarding working with a client in a hoarding situation who is struggling emotionally, and I offered to share information regarding mental health first aid training. I will continue to share out my knowledge that I gained from this conference over the next few months as I internalize it and continue to make it my own. More about learning new things. In October, I will begin hosting webinars on topics such as quarterly planning, menu planning, clearing clutter. That was a specific ask, so Sandy, I heard you. Some will be free and some will have a small fee attached. I look forward to you and I continuing to learn more together. Support around whatever it is you want to accomplish, including professional development and your education plan, is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through any of my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.